So today we're going to do a little bit of an update and talk about our latest kit, which is what we call our Woodsrunner rifle. We've been working on this for quite some time, but it's very, very close to completion. And I just wanted to let everybody know. I know some people have placed orders or pre-orders and they're anxiously awaiting their kit. So I'd like to give a little bit of information and just where we stand and what to expect with the kit. So I guess the first thing we'll do is just take a minute to introduce the gun. This is a copy of an original gun that's often referred to as the Woodsrunner rifle. This is a copy that I made, a bench copy of the original. So this gun is very, very close to the original rifle that this kit is based off of. Now our kit is not an exact copy of the original or my copy of the original, but it shares a lot of similar characteristics. So the original is believed by many to have been made in the Valley of Virginia, probably in the late 1760s time frame. It's not signed, so it is a little bit debated where it might have been made. So it's not certain, but I think a lot of people believe it was made in the Valley of Virginia. So it's a very interesting rifle for a number of reasons. One that stands out probably is the architecture. So this gun has a lot of Fowler or trade gun influence to it. So even though it's a rifle, it has a full octagon barrel, full octagon swamp barrel, the architecture still has a lot of Fowler or trade gun characteristics. So if you come over here, you can see it does have a cheek piece, but the cheek piece is pretty low and pretty diminutive. Now, by Fowler and trade gun characteristics, one thing that is immediately apparent is the tall breech and the wrist that tapers down very, very hard towards the comb. And also from the lock forward, you have quite a bit of taper. So those are all characteristics of Fowlers and trade guns.
What about the differences between this and you said it's not an exact copy?
Sure. Yeah, so that's a great question, Catherine, thank you. So the things that we've done different on our particular kit. Here's some stocks that are kit rifle stocks. The biggest difference you'll see is the barrel's a little shorter. The original had, I believe, a 43 1/4 inch barrel. We've decided to make the kit with a 39 3/4 inch barrel to make it just a little shorter, a little handier for those that might be a little shorter, a little smaller, a little older. Perhaps a woman or a younger person would see the benefit of that as well. We've had quite a number of people that like the idea of a slightly shorter rifle, so that's one thing that we've incorporated. We've also made the barrel a little smaller and a little lighter weight. The butt plate is again a little bit smaller as compared to the original. Not a lot, but just a little bit. So this rifle here, our kit, might be a gun made 5 years later than this original. 5 to 10 years later. Could easily fit in that range. Maybe 5 years would be a pretty safe estimate. We've changed the architecture just a little bit, but not too much. It still has enough of the characteristics that makes it pretty much immediately identifiable as a rifle based on the original for those that study these particular guns, but again, not an exact copy. So we can look around the rifle a little bit here if you would like and see some of the characteristics of it. And it's probably kind of hard to tell on a video, but we'll just kind of roll it around. And one thing that's real neat about this particular gun is the the patch box cavity is rounded rather than having a full dovetail. So the bottom has a radius and the dovetail is formed with the radius. And that's characteristic of the original. So it's a pretty interesting way of forming the dovetail in the box cavity. So it's kind of a challenge to do, but it is a real neat way of forming that.
Are there other originals that have that rounded cavity, or
So
is that
yeah,
unique?
there are some originals that have a rounded bottom to the cavity. Some of them have evidence of being cut from the end, maybe bored with a large bit from the end. Some German guns, I think, probably have that characteristic. There aren't too many that have the round bottom and then also have the dovetails formed with that round bottom. I know of the original known as the Woodsrunner, and then there's also another rifle that's obviously made by the same hand that has a box that's put together in that same fashion.
It's pretty cool.
Now, one added benefit of that is, at least some believe it to be the case, is that the box is a little less prone to sticking in humid weather or changes in the environment in damp weather, because there's not force on the bottom of the lid. It's just basically, the dovetail engages just the side of the lid, and I think it's a little less temperamental in terms of sticking in damp weather. And the copy that I made of the original, the lid seems to work quite well in various weather conditions. So it makes it a challenge to cut, and it's a detail that would have been easier for us to ignore and make in a typical way that a box is cut with square cavity, but it's a neat feature of the original, so we've incorporated that.
Can you show me the box of your copy as well?
So it's neat that the box is pretty small, has a very nice shape.
Will the edges be sharp like that?
No,
Or will
so
it be
there always
rounded?
are some compromises. And in order to machine the cavity with enough time, we probably could make those inside corners sharp, but it's a minor detail that we've chosen to round and just make it a little bit easier to manufacture. And it's not out of the question that it could have been made with rounded corners as an original. One thing that's kind of neat is, this is just kind of some random talking here, is if you pay attention to the angle of the box lid, one thing you see a lot of new builders, and mistake they make is they think that the box lid should be pointed up more. Maybe more like that or something. But it ends up looking pretty bad, at least to my eye and those with a lot of experience. So you can see how oftentimes these originals, they point down a little lower than you think, and you end up with the line of the top of the box kind of flows with the line of the top of the comb a little bit. So, getting back to the kit, this is available in 45, 50, and 54 caliber. We're making this on brand new equipment, very expensive equipment, very sophisticated equipment, and it's by far the most precise kit that's ever been made in terms of muzzle loaders, and perhaps any rifle, to be honest.
Are you able to show your equipment or not?
So we'll probably not show the equipment. Yeah, I don't think we will. We could, but there's certain things that we try to kind of keep to ourselves. We've shown it with shop tours and things like that, but we don't like pictures to be taken. In videos when you have images out there forever. It's probably not the wisest thing to show certain things. So we're able to machine this whole stock. Let me put it this way: we're able to machine this whole stock in one setup in one operation, which is pretty remarkable. And what it does is allows for a very precise, fantastic stock, fantastic part.
I had a customer ask me today about the machine marks on his gun he'd gotten a couple years ago.
Yep.
And he loved everything about it, but there was the machine marks. Is this machine going to be different for that then?
Yeah, so machine marks on the stock, they'll vary. Some wood will cut very clean. There won't be hardly any machine marks. So it does depend on wood. It depends some on the machine itself. The machines may vary a little bit in how they cut from time to time, how sharp the cutters are, etc. But definitely this machine, since it's way more sophisticated than our current machines, you can see the finish is amazing. So that's the finish someone would expect on the rifle they would receive, which is really remarkable.
I don't really see marks. So this hasn't been sanded or anything yet?
No, so this would be what, there may have been a few areas that have been touched up, but this is representative of what the customer would expect to see. So as far as machine marks on our other products go, I feel the need to say that it's still far superior to anything else that's available. Even though our other products may have some machine marks, you can usually start with 150 grit paper, and that'll take care of any machine marks, maybe even 220. So it's still something that's very, very good as compared to anything else that's on the market. One kind of summary of this particular gun, which is pretty startling, is if you compare our current offerings, our mountain rifle and our Colonial, to the nearest competitor's product, that difference is similar to what the difference between this Woodsrunner and our other products is in terms of quality and precision. It's really, it's something that's hard to describe and hard for me to put in a way that people understand it. But it's just in a whole new league, even to our standards, which is pretty amazing. You know?
Can you show some of the things that are going to go better, like the nose cap and...
Yeah, so one thing that we constantly try to do is we want to make a kit that almost anybody can have success with. Now, by success, I mean we don't want them to have frustration. We want it to turn out as good as it can, and that's what we've built our business on, and that's why our business is strong. Is we've made products that require very little skill to put together, or minimal skill, and we're trying to progress that even further with this Woodsrunner offering. So one thing that's kind of remarkable is we intend, or our hopes, and I think that we'll meet that requirement, we intend to have no wood removal be necessary in the assembly of this kit. So by wood removal, no chisels, no knives, nothing for parts to fit, which is difficult. But with the techniques we're using to make it, I think that we can achieve that. So an example would be simply the barrel. Okay, that's a good example. So with the barrel here, we have several barrels here. So let's grab a stock. The stock is fully inletted. The breech comes completely squared up, so there's no chisel work to square up the breech. Even that aspect, it takes us probably days to get things just right, just perfect. We put this time and money into it to try to make a fantastic product that'll stand the test of time and will make customers very, very happy and allow them to have amazing success. So the stock here, let's just see how a barrel will fit. The barrel should usually have a vise to do this, but let's just try it without a vise and see what we can do. Usually, it'll fit. Okay, so we're almost there. Let's get this here. There we go. Okay, so now it needs to be knocked back a little bit. You can see. Let me get a mallet.
See that? I didn't see it.
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, so it had to be knocked back a little bit. And then when the tang screw is put in, it's a fit.
Wow.
And then a similar thing would be the lock. I don't know if we have any lock sitting back here or not. I don't see any handy, but let me just grab a lock
There should be
here.
one over.
Yeah, you can grab a lock over there if you'd like.
Okay.
Okay, so a little bit about the locks. This is a round face English style lock from 1760s, 1770s perhaps. This is the same lock we use on our Colonial rifle. All the internals are 100% machined from stock, from billet stock. So it's a very, very good lock and appropriate to the original rifle. The original rifle had a big round face lock, English export lock on it. So, this getting back to the original task here. Again, this is off the shelf. It should fit in. Okay. This wasn't staged, I promise you. Okay. Now we'll take it a step further. I sound like an infomercial or something right now. So, one thing that's always a challenge for customers is slotting the underlubs. They generally do pretty good with drilling the holes for the underlug, but slotting can be a little tricky. You have to use a jeweler's saw or some different techniques. And it's not easy all the time, especially for those without a lot of experience. So we're able to now slot the underlugs. So these underlugs are machined as part of the barrel. We've been doing that for a while, but also now we're able to slot these. So the holes are already there in the barrel. Since we're making the stocks with very, very sophisticated equipment, the stocks have the holes pre-drilled, and those locations of the holes are consistent, and we can count on those locations. So now I'll show you, we have this stock in. So let's find a pin here. So we have a pin, and we'll pick an underlug. Let's just pick this one right here. So you can see the pin goes through the underlug. It's slotted properly to allow for seasonal movement in the wood, and it's just makes it that much easier and a fantastic product. So those are a few examples of the improvements we've made. We can keep on going a little bit. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and pop that barrel back out. Okay. Take the lock out here. So incidentally, here's a good way to take a barrel out. The tendency people often have is to pull the barrel at the muzzle. And it's not really the best way. A better way is to hold the barrel like this, hold the stock. Usually something a little more padded is a good choice, but I'm holding it tight with my right hand, kind of just resting it here like on this hand. Okay, so we're talking about some other neat features of this rifle. in terms of construction and precision. So the nose cap is another great example. Here we have a whole bin of nose caps here. We have been, in the past, we've been casting these nose caps. But we thought, well, castings are nice, but they do sometimes require a little bit of work in getting them to fit the barrel and fit the stock, because castings vary. Castings vary a lot more than machine components, but they're a little easier often to produce. But again, we're trying for this ultimate in fit and finish and precision. So we've decided, well, let's try to machine muzzle caps. And that's what we've done. We've figured out a way to machine them from bar stock. Now the challenge with that is including all these improvements and making it a cost-effective and profitable product for us. We could choose cheaper routes. We're still trying to work very, very hard to make it a profitable product that we can produce efficiently, but then has fantastic quality. So, the muzzle cap is held on, in this case, by pre-drilled holes through the stock. There's also pre-drilled holes through the muzzle cap. So, and again, the stocks will come completely fit like this. So the muzzle cap will go on like this. Okay, and then the way it's held on there's going to be 2 screws that'll hold it on. So the muzzle cap is drilled and tacked for these little brass machine screws. So the brass machine screws will go through those holes. We don't just use 1 screw in the bottom. 2 works a lot better. It holds it on tighter. And just better, doesn't flap around.
You have to be careful not to over tighten there for splitting wood, or?
Yeah, just snug is good. Tight, but you don't have to like get crazy on it. So without any epoxy or any glue or anything, that cap is on there extremely well. Very strong. We even offset the holes a little bit between the cap and the wood to do what's called a draw bore. So as it's tightened, this cap is forced towards the mating surface of the brass and the wood. You know, little tricks like that. Now this would hold it on there fine, but what we recommend for final installation is to file down the screws a little bit and then peen them. And by peening them, they would resemble just a brass rivet. So it's a very easy step to do, and we'll detail that more in the future. Now, if somebody wasn't concerned about perhaps seeing a little halo of the screw, it can just be filed down completely. And we may end up going with a little smaller screw, so there'd be a little less work for somebody to do. But the great thing about this is it fits amazingly well, because we're CNC machining the stock with high quality equipment, and we're also CNC machining the nose cap. Now the proof again will be, will this fit? So let's just see here. Okay. I always like to give a nose cap a little bit of a tap to see it at home. So you can see again, these aren't tricks. This is what you can expect as a customer. And the fit on the side of the barrel. So by going through all these details, what we're trying to just stress is that we're trying to make a fantastic product, that every detail has been considered, and it'll be so easily assembled and so high quality that that'll be a huge success. Now, with that, it's taken us a little bit more time to get it out the door. But as a company, sort of our philosophy is we're willing to take that time to try to make sure things are exactly like we want them to be, and before they start to go. But they're very close. There's not too many components that we're still working on. One of the last components is actually the butt plate. And again, traditionally we have used castings for butt plates. Investment castings are very close. They work well, but they sometimes require some fitting. Not everybody is very good at fitting a butt plate. It can sometimes be a little tricky. Some people are more skilled than others. So what we're doing with this rifle is we're sand casting brass preforms, so the pieces of brass roughly the shape of a butt plate, but much, much heavier. And then we're machining the entire butt plate. Now, it's a challenge. Most people wouldn't even consider it because it's not an easy part to machine. And then on top of that, you have to machine it in an efficient manner where we don't take too much time, where we can produce them fast and in a cost-effective manner. It's not easy. That's why some of these things take time. But the benefit is it'll be a butt plate that'll fit with zero adjustment, zero wood removal. Get your wood screws out, screw it on, it fits. The cutout for the box lid in the brass exactly fit. So again, it follows that theme of no wood removal necessary whatsoever to assemble the kit.
What about the people who are going to say that's too easy now?
Well, it's they don't like it. That's people's choice. It's just sort of the direction that we've chosen to go. Some people, you have to keep in mind that some people might say it's too easy, but to others it may be just perfect. And we want to make something that anybody can have success with. There's always anybody that thinks it's too easy. There's lots of choices for them. They can build a gun in whatever manner they want. They can start by cutting down a tree. They can forge a barrel if they want. Those things are really difficult, and there's lots of choices in between, anywhere in between. We've chosen to try to make this a completely historically authentic product that has fantastic quality in terms of a gunsmith's craft, and that anybody can put together, or virtually anybody can, and have great success. Now, there still is a little bit of work for the individual to do. Stocks have to be sanded a little bit, stained finish. The hardware needs to be sanded and polished for it to look nice. Sometimes individuals like to do a little carving or engraving if they have the skill, and these can be modified with some carving and engraving. But yeah, that's the Woodsrunner in a nutshell. You can see the original had a little bit of carving, had some shell carving at the tang. That was sort of an original design. It's not necessarily my favorite design, but I did a copy of the original, so that is how the original was. And the original has some neat little bits of incise carving along the cheek piece, which I think is pretty cool.
Are you going to redo the Colonial and mountain rifle in the same fashion on the new machine down the road? Or?
Our original intent was to do that, was to move the mountain rifle and Colonial over to the new machine. At this stage, I'm not sure we'll have enough capacity on the new machine for all three products. And there's a tremendous amount of investment in moving a product to this new machine, in developing. Basically, we had to redevelop it in large part, not 100%, but in large part. And the cost to do that, to move the mountain rifle and the Colonial to the new machine, probably from a business standpoint would not make sense. They're still very good kits, better than anything else in the market that's available, and we've raised the bar considerably. But probably not. Probably future kits will be designed for or they will be designed for on the new machine into this newer quality level, but probably the other ones will be slightly less refined. But people have had great success with those, and if somebody does want something that's just slightly more challenging, then well, those are a good choice.
Everyone's going to want to know what's next too. After.
Yeah, so you probably want to know, this is, I don't know what the date is, it's middle of October, I think, is what it is right now, of 2022. So, about the only real hold up for these kits going out the door, we have lots of stocks. We've been making a lot of stocks, but we're still working a little bit on the butt plate, machining it, which is a real challenge. It's not easy, but I think we're going to have success doing it. So, I'd like to think that maybe in a few weeks we'll be able to start getting some of the very first out the door.
What woods are going to be the options?
Yeah, so the wood will be standard woods that are available for long rifles, or that were used on long rifles, I should say. So maple, that's red or sugar maple, soft or hard maple. Often it is curly. So that's the number one choice. Probably 95% of all long rifles are stocked in maple. They'll also be available in walnut, be available in cherry as well. So occasionally we'll find some other kind of oddball wood, but those are the big three, and those are what are traditional and work well for gun stocks. And as far as designs that'll come after this, I kind of hesitate to say, because we put in huge amounts of time and effort in this product, and huge amounts of money. So we need to kind of take a breath, get this product really going out the door well, and make sure we please customers, because they've been very, very patient with us. And after the dust has settled a little bit, then we'll start thinking about the next product. And we have already started the next product, which is a trade gunner Fowler. It's partially completed. It may be 25 or 30% done, but it's kind of on hold a little bit until all the dust settles with this particular offering. Well, thank you. Any questions, or comments, appreciate them. I don't always do the best at the comments, but we appreciate them. And if you have any questions, maybe we can do a little better with this video. Maybe we'll try to address some of the questions and answer them some, and go from there. So thanks for your time. And, yeah, that's about all.
Bye.